in a setback for Indian app makers, the Competition Commission of India on 20th of March rejected their plea for interim relief against Google in a contentious Play Store billing policy case. A week ago, remember, CCI passed an order noting that the tech giant's user choice billing or UCB system is prima facie violation of Competition Act of 2002. This was as of March 15th. The antitrust regulator also ordered the Directorate General to conduct an investigation, complete it and file a report regarding the same in 60 days. However, yesterday, CCI now says that the app makers have not been able to demonstrate a case for granting of interim relief over completely restraining Google from collecting its fee. The case is becoming more complicated, Kartik. What does this order mean as of yesterday, and how is it different from the March 15th order?
So what really happened, Shweta, in the past was that because Google Play Store had delisted about 200 apps which came from the Indian app developers ecosystem, this really got raked up into this big issue of the big tech being the big bullies in this game of dominating the market with certain Play Stores and the policies therein which don't restrict free and fair, which rather restrict free and fair competition and don't let competition flourish as the way it should. So Google, as we know, is pretty much a monopoly, so to speak, in the Indian market. Google and the Android operating system is about 95% of the Indian market, right? The balance 5% is the Apple iPhone. So with its dominance of 95%, it obviously has a large leverage at play with which it can make one-sided policies that suit its own interest. Now, what is this one-sided policy? That one-sided policy is referred to by app developers as the Google tax. It's actually not a tax, it's a service fee. The service fee for any app developer to enable in-app purchases is about 11% going all the way up to 26% depending on how much is your turnover, how much revenue are you taking in using the Google in-app purchase ecosystem. This resulted in litigation. This resulted in app developers actually contesting this Google tax, saying that, you know, we don't have an option but to be on your Play Store because the only way that our app can reach millions of Indians, rather billions of Indians as the case is only through your proprietary Google Play Store platform. There is no other Play Store, there is no other platform through which customers can download our apps. And by virtue of you being the dominant monopolistic player in the market, we don't have any leverage but to comply and pay that fee. But that fee, according to Indian app developers, is absolutely uncalled for, and that fee is fairly large, something which impedes fair business practices for Indian app developers. Now, CCI had actually then issued a stern warning to Google, and in fact, we saw about 10 days ago, even the IT minister get involved and the MOS for IT get involved, and there was this sort of negotiation done between Google, between MeitY and the IT ministry, and some sort of a conclusion was drawn that the delisted apps would be listed back, right?
They will come back.
And they were brought back. In fact, most of them were brought back. However, this matter was not really closed on whether whether CCI or the IT ministry can really enforce a law which prohibits Google from charging any fee. Google's whole contention is that, you know, if I don't charge a service fee, I am pretty much creating all this and distributing all this for free. I don't have a revenue model. The app developers on the other side have been contesting that, you know, we should not be liable to pay so much money. And if we don't want to use the Google Play Store, the Google Play payment infrastructure, we should be allowed to use any other third-party infrastructure, any other third-party payment platform, payment aggregator through which payments can be made and allow us to bypass the Google Play Store, Google Play payments infrastructure. Google to that has said that we are not forcing you to use our Play infrastructure. You are free to tell your customers, and this is pretty much what Netflix does, for example. You tell your customers that these are your payment plans, but to make the payment plan, go to an internet browser, complete the payment and come back here and log in.
Basically an alternate payment
plan.
So
use an alternate payment plan, but if the payment is going through the Google ecosystem, then you've got to pay Google the service fee. Now, what app developers are worried about is that, the biggest challenge app developers always fight is retaining customers. Once a customer is on the app, they don't want the customer to go to any other platform, spend as much time on the app as possible. Now redirecting them to an ecosystem outside of the app to complete a payment is cumbersome, and then with the distractions on smartphones, you don't know if the customer is going to come back or not.
Absolutely.
And hence, using the in-app purchases becomes the default. And that default and charging a service fee for that convenience of a default is what app developers are fighting against.
So what happens after this order? Because CCI is now saying that there is no case for app developers to not pay. There will be no interim relief. Does this really mean that Google is now free to delist these apps again?
No, so as I read it, I understand that there is no immediate relief that CCI is able to grant the app developers, which means in the short term, in the immediate future, they've got to pay. If they want to stay on the ecosystem, they've got to pay.
And if they don't pay, they can be
However,
delisted.
so I think Google did make that very clear that right now we are relisting them, and it's a larger discussion which needs to be had, and there are multiple matters in multiple courts across the world, not just in India, leave alone the case in Supreme Court in India, but there are multiple antitrust battles that Google is fighting across the world. But as of now, there is no immediate relief, there is no immediate interim relief. App developers will have to pay and continue to be listed on the Google Play Store. However, I think the longer term impact is something which is still under consideration, and multiple rulings from around the world, and Indian courts are also learning from all the litigations which are happening in the EU, in US, and the antitrust motions against Google. So I think a larger global and a more specific Indian long-term policy is something which is still in the works.
It does look like for now the entire litigation, the process of back and forth is closed, because there is a CCI order in place which has prohibited petitioners, including which are essentially the app developers, from getting any interim relief. So
absolutely. So this is the immediate impact. Right now, to stay listed, they've got to pay. A longer term solution, a more sustainable solution is something that nobody has yet.
Absolutely.